Hey friends, welcome back to my channel, and welcome if this is your first time. I'm the host Amber, and I just wanted to open up with being honest that it's been a long time since I've recorded. I haven't kept up with the pace that I was hoping to with the channel. I've been really bone tired and never felt quite, I don't want to say good enough, but resourced enough to provide the type of energy that I really want to through this channel. So I've sort of been waiting for the perfect time to record again, and big surprise, it hasn't come. I've been, in addition to hoping to keep the channel going at a good pace, I'm trying to get my writing business off the ground, haven't kept up with the coaching program I invested in, all while trying to keep up with my day job and my 3 kids on our farm. So you can imagine the summer is flying by, and with it, all my energy has gone out the window. But I've had some experiences lately, and right now you'll see that my background's a little different than usual. I'm actually up north at a camp in northern Michigan where I'm volunteering as a nurse. I haven't nursed in the sense of taking care of patients for over a decade, and so volunteering at this kids camp was a stretch for me, but something that was really heavy on my heart to do, and I'm so glad I did it. Again, just having been so tired showing up and serving and just giving and loving these kids it's been life-giving. So that's where this finds me, just in the midst of not really having planned to record. My hair is fuzzy, my face is tired, and I have been giving and serving all day. But it was on my heart to do so. So I just wanted to start off with the story that inspired this particular episode. I was rushing my kids to their theater camp a couple weeks ago, rushing as I always am, which I should not be. I'm working on that. Well, I was on my way back, hoping to get, be productive while they were gone for some hours. I live in a very small town. If you hear a lot of noise in the background, it's the campers. They're going for dinner. I was on my way back home, and there was traffic, which is somewhat unheard of in my small town. There were vehicles stopped. There was somebody in that middle lane that kind of serves as the lane where I've never understood that, because it's like if you both enter it from both sides, there's only one lane, but it's the turning lane in the middle. And there was a woman stopped there, and she was out of her vehicle. She was wearing an Amazon vest, and there was my traffic stopped as well in my lane trying to go home, and she was coming towards us. We're going this way, so there was no way to go around whatever was going on. I was about the third in line from the stop, and the cars just really quickly started to pile up because it was rush hour. I could not imagine what was going on and why she would be out of her car, because I could kind of see her, and she didn't look, super upset, and I could see another gentleman out of his car, but they were off to the side of the road, and I was just very concerned that an animal had been hit, was my first thought. First I thought it was maybe a fender bender, I guess. And so eventually, she's the first one who had stopped and gotten out, but she gets back in her car and she waves and smiles and she's like, "Thank you." I am like, what is going on? So she leaves. That enables the cars in my lane to get out of there, right? So they enter that lane now and go around this huge tanker of a truck that was also stopped. And as we're going, the first person went around, you could tell he was really annoyed. Everybody's getting annoyed, right? And I go around and I'm looking, like, just praying that there's not something that had been hit. And I was very shocked and delighted in the best way to see another gentleman that was working, just like the woman in her Amazon vest. This gentleman was working in his truck out with big, heavy gloves on, moving a snapping turtle. He had this big snapping turtle and was moving it safely to the side of the road. And it was like 9:15. They were both on the clock. She stopped first. He stopped, used his huge truck to stop all the rest of traffic. And the two of them, these grown people with a million other things to do on their way to work, stopped to save this little guy that wanted to scratch and bite them. And I found myself crying all the way home. I was just bawling like happy tears. I have stopped to save many turtles and snakes and birds and on and on and on. And I just don't see a lot of adults doing that. I've been doing that since I was a kid. I still do when it's safe. I would not have considered this situation safe because it's actually a highway that we were stopped on. But the sentiment of these two adults to stop in the midst of their day, in the midst of all they had to do, and to pause for what matters, to remember that we're stewards, and that, yeah, it just super touched my heart, and kind of gave me quite a boost that day. And I felt like, although they were both busy and had places to be, that I would think that the kind deed that they did sort of lifted their spirits each and lifted mine. And I went on to tell the story, and now I'm telling all of you. And so it's really special to think that this kind deed to this turtle could inspire so many potentially. So the moment just, it really undid me, not because it was loud and dramatic, but it was quiet and holy. They were heroes to something that couldn't thank them. And these two strangers chose to be a team and to choose to care over convenience for this creature. And yeah, it just really filled my soul that day. Fast forward to a couple days later, I was at the fireworks with all three of my children, and there was little kids playing with fireflies, and I saw my youngest, he's 6, look over in concern, and I saw him muttering, they're gonna hurt them, they're gonna hurt them. And I saw him wander over to this little girl. She had her old dress on and had taken her hat off, and she had trapped a firefly in her hat. And so it kind of looked cool because her hat turned into like a lantern because it was like glowing inside. But I watched my son approach her, and quietly I heard her say, "There you go, little guy." And he helped her to open the hat. And together I just watched these two, again, these strangers, these two, they look the same age, the same size, just coming together in this care over this small creature in this moment where there was so much. There was sparklers, the fireworks were going to go off any minute. There was kids running and music and playing, and those two chose in that moment to stop and notice and witness and admire the firefly, but also to make sure that it got to return safely to where it belonged. It was just kindness. It was instinctive, and it was beautiful. Again, not surprisingly, I cried. And then the real tears came later. That was the 3rd of July. And the next day, the stories started to unfold. And again, being at camp right now has really brought this up as I take care. I'm actually taking care of 3rd and 4th graders. And my son is here as a 4th grader, and my middle son, and the stories coming out of the camp, and all the kids, all the families out of Texas, but additional cities, right? Like there's just a lot going on in the world right now, and it can feel very overwhelming. It's hard to understand why it's happening, what we can do, how to hold that much grief, that much sadness. Do you distract? Do you feel survivor's guilt? I mean, my brain has gone like so many places. Do you start to prep, your own house? You start to think about like, how close are we to a river? I mean, there's just, my brain has gone so many places. It's been really, really exhausting, but it's too much. This kind of grief that kind of just builds, and you can't really do much productive with it other than feel it, feel the feelings and grieve for those babies. And, that can be tough when you're already running on fumes. I think so many of us were probably enjoying the 4th with our kids. I'm sure so many people camping on the 4th. And there's a real grief just knowing that not everybody's 4th ended the way that yours may have, with memories and photos and planning, for the next one. So I think the way that this had all come together for me, just remembering the turtle, remembering the fireflies, and the grief that was brought forth in me from what has been happening in the world, was a call to remember that, like, I know I can't stop every flood. I know I can't prevent every tragedy. I know I can't save every turtle. And I know that we can't save every firefly, but we can save the ones that are in front of us. And we can do what those two people chose to do, and stop in the midst of their busy lives and remember what was important, that they did make a difference for that one turtle, and for anybody witnessing. And my son and that little girl made a difference for that one firefly, and for my soul to watch, and for their own, right? It does something for you to do those things for those that are right in front of us. We can continue to slow down and remember to care, even though it's not convenient. Maybe especially when we're tired. Maybe that's especially what we need. And remembering care for ourselves when we're tired, that we need so much grace. when I think about how to honor all the lives of those small children that were at camp, living their best lives and celebrating the 4th, I think they would have stopped for the turtle. And I think just like my 6-year-old and this little girl did, that they'd stop and admire the fireflies and, do what they can to preserve fireflies, which I won't get into, but environmentally, there's so much that you can individually do in your own backyard to preserve these beautiful, amazing creatures that do so much for us on an environmental level, but also just on a soul aesthetic level. So if you're like me and you feel like you've been drowning lately, if you feel like you're behind, if you feel like you're falling short, if you're staring at your to-do list and wondering what you should do next, maybe the most sacred and holy thing that you can do is to just pause and notice what's right in front of you. That might be yourself in the mirror, just pausing and caring for you, spending a little extra time with your kids and your pets, your spouse. You don't have to be everything to everybody. We can't, but you can be someone to something. And if that's all that I get done this week, I want to be okay with that. I want to be able to love myself in that space. I want to teach my kids that is love. I really appreciate you being here. I really appreciate you listening. And I really hope that this message sends just a dose of encouragement and love through the world right now, which we need. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.